Hey guys! In today's video we'll be discussing a popular Kingdom Hearts theory that surfaced in early December when we got a sneak peek at the Kingdom Hearts 3 opening. As of the time of this recording, the theory itself has been around for just a bit more than a few weeks, so we'll try and take a stab at it and see what all the weight is behind it. So again guys, the theory itself came mostly into the light. That was a joke. When we got a sneak peek of Kingdom Hearts 3's opening in early December. Looking at the opening, we can see a young Master Xehanort look to the sky without his infamous yellow eyes. Instead, we see some sort of dark presence reflecting off of his eyes from the sky. Now, this aesthetic little scene here is what's leading many fans to speculate about whether or not this means Xehanort is just being possessed or used as a vessel by some sort of other person or power. Some people have speculated that the true antagonist of the series is the Master of Masters, or Luxu from the Kingdom Hearts Chi series. Some have even speculated that it's just the pure entity of darkness itself controlling Xehanort. So, what's the proof? Well, to start off, nothing within the Chi series as of the time of this recording can suggest that Xehanort's being possessed by the Master of Masters. We know that the Master of Masters disappeared before the events of the Keyblade War. Luxu also went into hiding but has been seen here and there. Some speculate, however, that Luxu himself is the direct link between Ericus's and Xehanort's Keyblade training, meaning that either he is the teacher of those two, or he is their teacher's teacher, or eventually, etc. on down the line. Another important scene to consider would be the semi-new scene from Chi, where Maleficent is speaking to some sort of dark presence. When she asks them about their identity, they merely answer, darkness. These are the main three candidates as to who could be using Xehanort as a puppet. Before we go into dissecting the consequences of these theories, let's take a trip down memory lane within the Kingdom Hearts series and look to see how the antagonist has been portrayed over the years. Starting with Kingdom Hearts 1, and this is the main big one guys, we have our villain, Ansem. Now the Ansem reports from Kingdom Hearts 1 are implied to be, well, written by this guy, Ansem. Now the series changes this character's true identity and shifts it around quite a bit, but as of the time of Kingdom Hearts 1's launch, and as proposed by the reports, we are to treat these reports as if they're written by this version of the character, Ansem. It gets even more confusing when multiple different events within the reports actually happen to another character, being this guy. Now this guy, whose name is also Ansem, isn't introduced until Chain of Memories under the alias Diz. I mention this now because as we go back and look at the reports of the first game, it makes no sense that this Ansem would write the reports from his perspective when the events within the reports happened to this Ansem. So what exactly is the solution? Well, to assume that either the reports don't exist, or that the author is exactly how they're portrayed in Kingdom Hearts 1. Since in Kingdom Hearts 1 the reports clearly did exist, and mattered at the time, we're going to have to exclude the Diz version of Ansem out as a character, and assume that they do not exist at all for the point of this topic, video conversation thing. So the reports continue and go on to say that Ansem is blessed with people's smiles and respect. But though I am called a sage, there are things I do not understand. From this excerpt here, we can conclude that this version of the character, Ansem, is some sort of well-respected leader with sage-like properties of wisdom and such. Later it goes on to say that the author, who again we're calling this Ansem, is visited by a king from another world. Now, not only is it heavily implied, but it's clarified later in a cutscene that this is to be Mickey Mouse. And again, this is an event, as I just mentioned, that happened to this version of Ansem, who does not, again, exist in this game, so we're led to believe that we are talking about this one. So what exactly is the issue here? If the reports all seemingly point to this version of Ansem, can't we just call it a name swap and say that we found the reports of that particular Ansem? Well, yes we could. However, there are some events in the reports that seemingly don't happen to this true version of Ansem. Look at Report 11, where clearly Ansem's goal is to use the princesses and the Keyblade for his research. This is something apparent in Kingdom Hearts 1 in Hollow Bastion, but is not something of this version of Ansem. So clearly the motivation and perspective of the reports shifts and change when you want to compare them to the current versions of the two characters as of 2018. So what did Square Enix do? Well, they sort of fixed this in the final mix versions of Kingdom Hearts 1. They added in 2 new reports which give some sort of description of both the Realm of Darkness in Kingdom Hearts, as well as introduces the non-beings we see in Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, and then are formally introduced in Kingdom Hearts 2, called Nobodies. However, still, from Kingdom Hearts 1 alone, these reports are still wishy-washy with the 2 versions of Ansem. But to recap it all, by the end of Kingdom Hearts 1, we are led to believe that this Ansem was visited by King Mickey, performed experiments on Heartless, was a Sage King, captured the Princesses of Light, and discovered gummy blocks, apparently. And I guess if you want to, you can connect Report 13's introduction to Nobodies to the secret boss, since that's technically what the secret boss is as of 2018, but that's a whole other thing. Moving on to the before-mentioned game, Chain of Memories. So in Chain of Memories, during the post-game, we're introduced to a character named Diz. Spoiler alert for Kingdom Hearts 2, Diz is actually a man named Ansem. As it turns out, he was the Sage King referred to in Kingdom Hearts 1. He was the one who met with King Mickey, he was the one who discovered the gummy blocks, and he was the one who began research on the Heartless, but ultimately stopped. It's also revealed in Kingdom Hearts 2 that supposed Ansem that we found in Kingdom Hearts 1 was actually the Heartless of Ansem's apprentice, Xehanort. This is how Xehanort is introduced into the series as Ansem's apprentice, who looks like this. Well, then Birth by Sleep rolls around and it turns out that this is actually Xehanort. Yep, he's an old, seemingly frail man. Keep in mind that Birth by Sleep takes place 10 long years before the events of Kingdom Hearts 1, and then consequently 11 years before the events of Kingdom Hearts 2. So how did Mr. Not Ansem go from this to this? Well, in Birth by Sleep, Xehanort manages to take over the body of a young man named Terra. In fact, it's this form of Xehanort that is actually the apprentice of Ansem the Wise, who later becomes the Heartless we know as Ansem. But Jake, what does all this have to do with the Xehanort puppet theory? Well, now let's skip over to the year 2016. Or 2017? 2018? I guess, depending on when you started caring. I suppose, actually. Maybe. Anyways, the Kingdom Hearts Chi series is introduced to the Kingdom Hearts series. Now, the Kingdom Hearts Chi sub-series is a sub-series within the overall Kingdom Hearts plot. It takes place some amount of years before Birth by Sleep. Yep, that's right. We got a prequel to end all prequels, boys. And 3 of them, in fact. The Chi series has 3 installments. Oh me oh my, but let's continue. As I mentioned in the beginning of this video, there are 2 particular individuals who are suspected to be possessing Xehanort, the Master of Masters and Luxu. Now, before we go any further, let's shed some backstory on our people here for a minute. The Master of Masters is a man who is a master of other masters. He has 6 apprentices, one of which is Luxu, and the other 5 are leaders of their own tribe of Keyblade wielders. As far as the timeline goes, the Chi series happens throughout the events of the Keyblade War, which is mostly mentioned in Birth by Sleep as a war where Keyblade wielders selfishly fought for the light of Kingdom Hearts. The Chi series changes this a bit drastically and makes the Keyblade War a war between those before-mentioned tribes. Now, I won't get into specifics about why they were fighting. You guys can go and watch Everglow's timeline video series on that. But long story short, the Master of Masters proclaimed that there would be a traitor amongst his 6 apprentices. He then sends Luxu with a special Keyblade called No Name in a mysterious box he is to never open. The Master of Masters then gives each of the 5 apprentices a particular role while he's away. The 5 enact on their roles and coincidentally believe that one another is to be the traitor. Thus, the Keyblade War strikes. The Keyblade that Luxu is given is also the Keyblade that we see during the time of young Xehanort and Ericus's Keyblade training days, and the Keyblade that we see Xehanort with in Birth by Sleep and onwards. So it's heavily implied that Luxu handed down the Keyblade from one wielder to another, eventually falling into Xehanort's hands. Now, the Keyblade in particular has a special nod to it. In fact, it actually possesses an eye of the Master of Masters. As long as the Keyblade is around, the Master of Masters sees everything it sees. with all this information and more, we can strongly conclude that either one of the individuals, Lu Shu or the Master of Masters, has some sort of a probable influence on Xehanort. But why? The Master of Masters from the Chi series is extremely lighthearted. He jokes around and everything. Surely he doesn't seem like the kind of guy who wants to cause torment and oblivion towards individuals countless years into the future? I mean, sure, he can get stern from time to time when it involves, serious work, but for the most part, he's like that one fun uncle that, we guys have. And of Lu Shu, well, he's a duty boy. He takes things extremely at face value, at least as expressed in the backstory cutscenes, and does his job the way that it's asked. It's not until that we see him with one of the other apprentices later that we kind of see a darker tone to him, but that may not mean directly that he's evil so much as he's just, frustrated or mad or serious at the particular moment. To go even further, you could argue that the darkness, speaking to Maleficent and Unchained Key, has in fact taken hold of Lu Shu, but as of yet, there's nothing to support that theory, and that's a whole other thing, guys. But Jake, what does this have to do with the Xehanort puppet theory? Unfortunately, absolutely everything. Remember how I talked earlier about how the Kingdom Hearts series isn't a stranger to changing its antagonist, from Kingdom Hearts 1 to Kingdom Hearts 2? It's mildly frustrating given the amount of retcons that it's resulted in. All in all, the theory itself, that Xehanort is being influenced by another individual, I personally do see really likely to be the case. I think it's a dumb theory. A really, really dumb theory. We've gone practically 13 years since we had our villain last switch up and all, which is still to this day confusing for new fans. I thoroughly believe that making Xehanort some sort of a puppet will demean any sort of build-up that the series has stringed along since Kingdom Hearts 2. Why, after 10 years of dealing with this old man, are we just now discovering that he's some sort of puppet from another character that's only 2 years old? It doesn't make Lu Shu, the Master of Masters, or even Darkness itself look more menacing. It makes Xehanort look like a plaything, a tool, an unfortunate old man who was at the wrong place at the wrong time and has done nothing but supposedly unknowingly hurt everything he touches, all for nothing. Well guys, that's the end of this video. Hope you guys liked it. Tell me what your thoughts are on the Xehanort theory below, if you even know what it is. And if you don't know what it is, then I guess I'll see you guys on the next video. This is Jake, logging out. Peace.